do you make a distinction between the creative and the theoretical? And I suppose I can also speak a little bit about that. I don't. I think they both feed into each other, right? I think they both feed into each other, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Basic, of course, there is a difference in a process. With the creative writing, you are using purely imagination. And though there may be an argument in the story, but basically the story is the key, right? Mm-hmm. When you're in creative writing, the story element, the narrative element is the most important element, yeah. But in reality, I don't make a distinction in terms of challenges, if you like. I'll say like because I write what I write what do you say?
Oh, I write what I like. It's actually one of my favorite.
I write what I like. I write what I like.
Correct? Yeah, I write what I like. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am saying, I write what I want to. Yeah. In other words, I do creative writing. I do fiction. I do short stories. But at the same time, I do the other kind of writing, which is theoretical, even journalistic. I've done all that. But what I found in me is still the narrative element is very important for me in whether fiction, short story, or for that matter, my theoretical work. You read a book like Decolonizing the Mind, for instance, it's full of personal narratives, but theoretical, at the same time, right? And my most of my work is like that, is narrative analytical, maybe point a word, narrow analytical.
You can't just coin words on demand. Okay, okay, let's say, what did Decolonizing the Mind or global ethics do, right? That, let's say, Wizard of the Crow did not do, right? Or Gaika Dead, like what's the form itself you're using? How does it change? Like how does it work differently?
You make an argument. Okay, let me say this difference with a theoretical work or not. I'm making an argument consciously. Okay, I'm structuring as an argument, like you and I are arguing, or I'm saying to convince you in an argument. Okay, so that's the main difference. Whereas with the creative writing, I'm fascinated with the story itself, right? Or poems. I'm interested how almost like a poem, one line leads to another. It suggests another, right? Right? You don't sit down and just think and think and think, and then it's like one image leads to another. Right, whereas with I'm thinking how to structure that as an argument. Say, as if I'm arguing with you, okay? So I'm putting my facts and argument in a certain way to persuade you in an argument, or persuade in an argument. Yeah, but with creative writing, I'm trying to draw the reader into my world. If there's an argument, he or she will catch it along the way. Yeah. In other words, when they come to a creative piece of writing, what the reader is interested in is the story itself. For instance, if you preach in a critical piece of writing, people would be very bored, no matter how what clever things you might be saying, right? You cannot write a fiction and put the reader there, okay? That's part of the fiction, yeah, unless as a character.
Yeah. So I think primarily you'll be speaking with or the people who will be listening will be from the universities or and so on and so forth. And specifically, I'm thinking in terms of having changed the department's name here from the English department to Department of Literatures in English. So, but can you talk about your own processes, and then later I'll ask you what are the costs of the work you do, right? But for now,
let me come back to just come back to the other one. The problem with creative writing, I had to be as concrete as possible. Concreteness is the key, because I must draw a picture. I must make the reader see, feel, touch, okay? I feel all their senses, okay? You know, I wanted to argue them into a position, okay? Yeah, with their, but with their non-creative, I'm trying to persuade them with an argument. The only thing which I like to make here is that today I find the critical language very, there's too much. No, when I write critical, I like to also be as simple as I can. Not simple, but I want the idea to quite understand, to follow what I'm saying. They may disagree with me or agree with me, but I don't want to read my listen to go about what was he really saying? What do you think he meant by this? You know, yeah. So density of language can often mean, not always, but can often mean, you know, a little bit of well, what it is.
Yeah. No, when you put it over, I'm thinking about. I'm thinking of reading Derrida, and you know, both as an undergrad and later not understanding what he's saying.
Yeah.
So at some point, there was this argument between Noam Chomsky and I think Foucault, where Noam Chomsky said, you know, if I've been in the field for so many years, if I don't understand what you're saying, surely it's not my fault, right? But the idea being that you know, even doctor to doctor, you know, physicist to physicist, you know, they should understand each other, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that kind of language sometimes can obscure thought, right? It was clouded with what? Density of form,
yeah,
but not density of ideas, right? You know, I want you, when I write theoretical, I want the reader to actually hear what I am saying. They may disagree or agree or even say that's nonsense, but not because they did not hear or what I was saying. For instance, people ask me about globaletics, okay? So global may sound a bit heavy, and it's a bit heavy because it's coined term, you know, a combination of global and dialectics, yeah. But in reality, I tell people, for me, globaletics is just an expansion of the notion of here to there, right? There to here, you know, like a here to there in a dialectical progression of mutual elimination, because they help each other. That's what I like. I want people to be passionate when they read the calling. I want them to be passionate about what I'm saying, whether they agree with it or not. Yeah, yeah. The other question you asked.
Yeah, it is around the colonization and our departmental name change here, but
yes.
but maybe a little bit about your process.
Yeah. Again, the department changed. Remember, even though it's here, from here to there, in a way started when we were trying to reorganize the teaching of literature at the University of Nairobi. Yeah. Remember before that, when I came to the department, I found that the literature really that we were learning was actually English national literature from, say, as Abiola you'd say, from Spencer to Spender, or from Shakespeare to the present, yes, Eliot, kind of thing. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong, with those writers. They are very rich in ideas and other things, but they're also writers in Africa, right? Why not start from, Africa outwards? That's all we were doing. With English literature is fine, French literature is fine, but what if you begin with African literature and then connect outwards, so to speak? So we said African literature at the center of the syllabus, Caribbean literature, African literature, Latin American, Asian literature, and then European literature, in that order. I want to make very clear, we were not dismissing European literature because it's very rich, okay, right? But the order of learning is very, very important, because the order of learning, where it was colonial order, is what I call the cognitive process of the colonial system is to make people always start with that which is farthest removed from themselves, right? Yeah, the imperial centers become the beginning of knowledge system. And it's not true. Actually, the colonial order of education, most of which still prevails in the world today, is one which takes away the cognitive process from here to there and turns it into there first and then here, right? I must travel there to somehow see myself.
Yeah.
But the normal cognitive process is always from wherever you are to elsewhere, right? And the two movements go on illuminating each other. Because the more you know where you are, the more you can now, from where you are, you can go further. And the further you go, it can help to look back on where you were, and then they go on illuminating each other. And it's what we do normally every single day. When you want to walk, you're in Cornell, you don't first go to Manhattan and start your journey there to the next. Which when you come to think of this, is what the colonial process does. You're in Cornell, you're going to the next village or the next door, but makes you go to, says, no, come to New York, Manhattan, and then you'll find your way back. There was a time, literally in my lifetime, when if I want to go to Lagos or even Ethiopia from Kenya and we're neighboring, I'd have to fly. If I go by a plane, I'd have to fly to London, then take another plane and come back to Ethiopia. That's a colonial process of education or cognitive process. The other one is a more normal one. And this is what we're talking about in Nairobi. Literature was where the idea from here to there, in a way, we're saying Africa is our center. That's all we are saying.
Yes.
But we were not saying that Africa is the only center, but it was our center. Yeah.
Yeah, so one of my surprising moments in life was realizing that I was in Mali. I'd gone to visit. I was there for a food conference when I used to work for Pambazuka. And the surprise was realizing that the Kenyans who had come to Mali had to go to the French consulate
Uh-huh.
to get their visas in Nairobi. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you.
Oh, yeah, this again, because the process. We are going to Mali, an
Yeah.
African country.
Yeah.
The process is through,
Yeah.
symbolically through France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but keeping with the concept of from here to there, that will be the title of my next book, From Here to There. No, I'm joking.
No, that's
No,
fine. You're welcome to it.
yeah,
No,
no,
yes,
but
you
thinking
can do.
about that, can you talk about Guy Gaded? I'm only thinking about it now because I was talking about it in class, actually in both my classes today and yesterday. So the idea of from here to there when it comes to African languages and specifically Guy Gaded, and in that case, when you're thinking about that question also, the costs of the work you have done, right? You know, yeah, but maybe the first half of the question is, yeah, from here to there, Guy Gaded.
Yeah. And we can argue that Guy Kade was based on Guy Kade Our Money When I Want. There's a play which we did at Cameredo. And it was, again, the same idea.
Mm.
It started with, in a way, thinking, I don't know theory, but where does theater, where's the location of National Theater? And for a long time, it was Nairobi, the capital city, right? But then we said, no, it is where people are, okay? Where people work on the land, where they are herding cattle, where, yeah, the language they speak, right? So it's the same thing. You're going to work in a village. You really are serious about what they're doing. You start with the language spoken or no, but that's language. You don't come and tell, I must well teach you the language which I speak so that you can hear me, right? You do the other way around. You learn the language, their language, and then work from there, right? But we're saying that either from the village or from the Kikuyu language or any language for that matter, we can still reach the stars, right? Yeah, we can be in a village in Kenya, but we can reach the stars as well as in somewhere in Nairobi or any other city, right? That was, and we wanted to not even demonstrate, it was reality that the working person, the peasant farmer, I mean, we can compete, if you like the competition, in terms of excellency, we can compete with the aesthetically with whatever you can bring along. So our community at Cameredo was literally from factory workers, okay, plantation workers, small farmers around the village, so whole job, it started from the grassroots, so to speak, okay? So Cameredo, where people are, becomes our center then, right? So the language they speak, yeah, the stories they tell, the experiences, right? That's what we did. But this is what we realized later when Alita was, of course, arrested. The play was stopped in November 1977. And as you know, I was put in a maximum security prison. Why? When you can't think of it, right? It was someone, because we were really, in a way, without realizing, we're challenging the order of from here to there. We had rejected the idea that knowledge comes from elsewhere. We are also the center of knowledge. Whatever we are centers of knowledge. Again, the idea from here to there, right? In fact, we used to discuss ideas, and we would say, no, whenever we sang what we did, okay, in a village, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And from there, we can talk what others did, right? but by we in history, we the factory workers, we the farmers around, okay?
Yeah.
Right. So again, community was really the beginning in practice of the practice here to there. But for some reason, you can see there is a way in which you come from a system of there. Nairobi is the center, England is the center, US the centers. You can see that this, in a way, subverting that colonial order, okay? Yeah, it's like, let's be normal, right? You know, colonial order or system of oppression and hierarchy subvert normal order of things, okay? Yeah.